Seatbelt laws in the United States. I know this is probably not the most thrilling subject to talk about, but I think it's a really important one because unlike any other country I can really think of, the US has varying seatbelt laws depending on which state you're actually in. Obviously, states set their own laws. There are laws that they can set at their own sort of level. Obviously, there are federal laws above all that, but let's not get into the weeds about talking about that. Just for the purpose of this video, every single state, all 50 of them, has different laws, different fines, different regulations. We're not going to get into specific fines themselves. We're just going to go with which category they are actually in, whether they are a primary enforcement state, a secondary enforcement state, or one that doesn't even have any laws around seatbelts at all. Because yes, believe it or not, there is still one state in the union that doesn't have any laws around seatbelt usage. You don't have to wear one. We'll obviously reveal that as we go through the video. And something else to bear in mind as well, guys, this is accurate as of the time of recording. These seatbelt laws are changing all of the time. I brought you a story not too long ago going over, I believe it was Virginia, and how their seatbelt laws are changing as well. So let's get into it, guys. So just to explain the difference between primary enforcement and secondary enforcement here. So primary enforcement basically means that if you're spotted by a law enforcement officer and you don't have your seatbelt on, whether that is you or your passenger, again, it varies from state to state. But if somebody doesn't have their actual seatbelt on while they are driving, a law enforcement officer can flag you down and they can pull you over, and you can be punished for that offence. Secondary enforcement only means that if you are pulled over for a different reason, can you then be punished for a seatbelt infraction. So for example, let's just say you were speeding. Let's say that your tail light was out. Let's say your headlights are not on properly. Whatever, any kind of thing like that. You have to be stopped for a separate reason to actually get punished for the seatbelt offence. You will not be pulled over specifically for that seatbelt offence. 34 of the 50 United States have primary enforcement for seatbelt laws. And this also applies to other territories as well, such as the District of Columbia, American Samoa, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands, as well as Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands too. So in alphabetical order, the 34 states that do have primary enforcement are Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now, when it comes to secondary enforcements, there are 15 of these in the Union. These are Idaho, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, Colorado, Missouri, Arizona, Massachusetts, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wyoming. Now, if you do your maths there, you'll realize. Now, there are, of course, caveats to all of these. For example, in Colorado, it is a secondary enforcement state, like I said, but there is an exception to that. If you're in Mountain View, you actually have a primary enforcement on that. So there are local laws that can vary these, but in general, these are all the secondary enforcement states. Now, if you do your maths, 34 plus 15 equals 49. What's the state I haven't mentioned? Well, if you know about your weird US laws, you already know that it's New Hampshire. New Hampshire has no enforcements for seatbelts whatsoever for adults. For children, it is a primary enforcement. So all kids have to be buckled up. It's not even a secondary for them. It's a primary one for them, no matter what. And they can and will stop you if you do not do that. But if you're an adult, whether you're in the front seat, the back seat, doesn't matter. You do not have to wear a seatbelt in your vehicle. Really odd, really strange. But should that law change? Should it be a primary enforcement across all states, or is secondary enough? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below, guys, and I hope you've learned something here. Like I said, every state is unique. They've all got different sub-regulations around these different fine amounts. For example, in Texas, if you get caught without your seatbelt on, you can be fined around $200. Whereas in New Mexico, which is just next door, it's $25. So it varies from state to state. But I hope you learned something here, guys. I definitely learned something here going through this video and researching it. But yeah, have a great time wherever in the world today, guys, and we'll see you very soon for much more news and explainer videos on the world of cars and seatbelts.